Hey guys, Rock and Roll back once again, and this time we are playing Katawa Shoujo. Now, this will probably not be a full Let's Play. If you don't know what Katawa Shoujo is, it is a free visual novel, and it's one of the best visual novels I've ever played. There's several different stories, sort of paths you can go down. Basically, well, I'll let the story explain itself, but I'm going to play up to probably the key point of which you make your first choice of a big story divergence. And then after that, I'll end it. I probably won't actually play this all the way through, simply because this is a game where you should really experience it yourself, or at least on your first playthrough you should do. Never look at guides on your first playthrough, I will say as well, because the best way to play this game your first time through is to just experience it naturally. After that, you can do. You can go and find out which specific questions get you onto which storyline, but first time through, play it naturally, because it's the best way to enjoy it. Right, so, here we go. A light breeze causes the naked branches overhead to rattle like wooden wind chimes. This is a popular retreat for couples in the summer. The deciduous trees provide a beautiful green canopy far out of sight of teachers and fellow students. But now in late winter, it feels like I'm standing under a pile of kindling. I breathe into my cupped hands and rub them together furiously to prevent them from numbing in this cold. Just how long am I expected to wait out here anyway? I'm sure the note said 4 o'clock p.m. Ah yes, the note slipped between the pages of my math book while I wasn't looking. As far as cliches go, I'm more of a fan of the letter in the locker, but at least this shows a bit of initiative. As I ponder the meaning of the note, the snowfall gradually thickens. The snowflakes silently falling from the white painted sky are the only sign of time passing in this stagnant world. Their slow descent upon the frozen forest makes it seem like time has slowed to a crawl. The rustling of dry snow underfoot startles me, interrupting the quiet mood. Someone is approaching me from behind. This sounds like the start of a horror novel, actually, doesn't it? There's about to be a person with a knife right behind you about to stab you. Hiseo? I think that's how you say it. You came! A hesitating, barely audible question. However, I recognize the owner of that dainty voice instantly. I feel my heart skip a beat. It's a voice I've listened to hundreds of times, but never as more than an eavesdropper to a conversation. I turn to face this voice, the voice of my dreams, and my heart begins to race. The artwork is fantastic in this as well. It's really beautiful. Like, this is free, remember. Alright, sorry about that, guys. Had to get the door, so had to... There's a cut there, so it's probably not going to sound too great on the transition. But, anyway. Iwanako, I got a note telling me to wait here. It was yours? Damn it, I spent all afternoon trying to come up with a good line, and that was the result. Pathetic. Yes, I asked a friend to give you that note. I'm so glad you got it. A shy, joyous smile that makes me so tense I couldn't move a single muscle even if I tried. My heart is pounding now as if it were trying to burst out from my chest and claim this girl for itself. So, here we are, out in the cold. Once again the wind stirs up the branches. The cacophonous noise is music to my ears. Iwanako flinches ever so softly against the gust of wind. As it passes, she rights herself as if supported by some new confidence. Her eyes lock with mine, and she lazily twirls her long dark hair around her finger. All the while, the anxious beating of my heart grows louder. My throat is tight. I doubt I could even force a word out if I tried. You see, I wanted to know if you'd go out with me. I stand there motionless, save for my pounding heart. I want to say something in reply, but my vocal cords feel like they've been stretched beyond the breaking point. Iseo? I reach up to try and massage my throat, but this only sends spikes of blinding pain along my arms. Iseo! My whole body freezes, save for my eyes, which shoot open in terror. Iseo! The beating in my chest suddenly stops, and I go weak at the knees. The world around me, the canopy of bare branches, the dull winter sky, Iwanako running towards me, all these fade to black. The last things I remember before slipping away are the sounds of Iwanako screaming for help and the incessant clatter of the branches above. Very good writing as well. I do love this. I've been looking for an excuse to play this for a while, and getting a new laptop obviously means that I don't have any of the story or anything sort of saved on here, so it's a good excuse to pick it back up. Like I say, go download it, it's free. And look at this artwork. Again, this is free. And it looks better than tons of games you have to pay money for. Like, full credit to, I think it said 4 Leaf Studios. Like, this is real quality. And I would recommend anybody go download this and play it. It really is, and it's quite a few hours you actually have to put into it to beat it. I say beat it, finish it. It's not really beating it, it's just sort of getting to the end of the story, but it's nice because each character has... I think each story has at least 2 endings. Some of them might have 3, I'm not sure. It's been so long since I've played it. I know each of them have at least 2. A good and a bad, or a good and a not so good. Actually, I think one of them's a bad and a eh. I can't remember now. It's been 4 months since my heart attack. In that whole time, I can probably count the times I've left this hospital room unsupervised on one hand. 4 months is a pretty long time when you're left alone with your thoughts, so I've had plenty of time to come to terms with my situation. You know, I can kind of relate to that. I've been stuck in my house near enough for 4 months, so I can relate to that. Thanks to the whole pandemic this year. So, yeah, it's been nice to finally get out. But, yeah, I can sympathise. I can sympathise with that. Oh, God. Arrhythmia? I have no idea how to say that. A strange word, a foreign alien one that you don't want to be in the same room with. A rare condition. It causes the heart to act erratically and occasionally beat way too fast. It can be fatal. Apparently I've had it for a long time. They said it was a miracle that I was able to go on so long without anything happening. Is that really a miracle? I guess it was supposed to make me feel better, more appreciative of my life. It really didn't do anything to cheer me up. My parents, I think, were hit harder by the news than I was. They practically had 2 hemorrhages apiece. I had already had a full day by then to digest everything. To them it was all fresh. They were even willing to sell our house in order to pay for a cure. Of course there isn't a cure. Because of the late discovery of this condition, I've had to stay at the hospital to recuperate from the treatments. When I was first admitted, it felt as if I was missed. For about a week, my room in the ward was full of flowers, balloons and cards. But the visitors soon dwindled, and all the get-well gifts began trickling down to nothing shortly after. I realized that the only reason I had got so many cards and flowers was because sending me their sympathy had been turned into a class project. Wow, that's really sad. I don't, like I say, I haven't played this in so long, and that hurts me. Knowing that is actually, wow, that's painful. Maybe some people were genuinely concerned, but I doubt it. Even in the beginning, I barely had visitors. By the end of the first month, only my parents came by on a regular basis. Iwanako was the last to stop visiting. After 6 weeks, I never saw her again. We never had that much to talk about when she visited anyway. We didn't touch the subject that was between us on that snowy day ever again. To be fair, I don't think that's very surprising, considering she said that she wanted to date you and you had a heart attack. I don't think talking about that's a great idea. The hospital. It's not really a place I'd like to live in. The doctors and nurses feel so impersonal and faceless. I guess it's because they're in a hurry and they have a million other patients waiting for them, but it makes me feel uncomfortable. For the first month or so, I asked the head cardiologist every time I saw him for a rough estimate of when I'd be able to leave. He never answered anything in a straightforward way, but told me to wait and see if the treatment and surgeries worked. So I idly observed the scar that those surgeries had left on my chest, slowly change its appearance over time, thinking of it as some kind of omen. I still ask the head cardiologist about leaving, but my expectations are low enough now that I'm not disappointed anymore when I don't get a reply. The way he shuffles around the answer shows that there is at least some hope. At some point, I stopped watching TV. I don't know why, I just did. Maybe it was the wrong kind of escapism for my situation. I started reading instead. There was a small library at the hospital, although it was more like a storeroom for books. I began working my way through it, one small stack at a time. After consuming them, I would go back for more. I like reading, to be fair, which is kind of evident as of what I'm doing right now. I found that I liked reading, and I think I became a bit addicted. I started feeling naked without a book in my hands. But I loved the stories. That was what my life was like. The days became increasingly harder to distinguish from each other, differing only by the book I was reading and the weather outside. It felt like time blurred into some kind of gooey mass I was trapped inside, instead of moving within. A week could go by without me really noticing. Again, I can sympathize with that after the lockdown. It did actually really get worse as it got further along. Sometimes I'd pause in realization that I didn't know what day of the week it was, but other times, all the things that surrounded me would painfully crash into my consciousness through the barrier of nonchalance I had set up for myself. The pages of my book would start to feel sharp and burning hot, and the heaviness in my chest would become so hard to bear that I had to put the book aside and just lay down for a while, looking at the ceiling as if I was going to cry. But that happened only rarely, and I couldn't even cry. Today, the doctor comes in and gives me a smile. He seems excited, but not very. It's like he's trying to make an effort to be happy on my behalf. My parents are here. It's been a few days since I've last seen them. Both of them are sort of dressed up. Is this some sort of special occasion? It's not a party. There is the ritual head cardiologist has. He takes his time sorting his papers, then setting them aside as if to make a point of the pointlessness of what he just did. Then he casually sits down on the edge of the bed next to mine. He looks me in the eyes for a moment. Hello, Haseo. How are you doing today? I don't answer him, but I smile a little back at him. I believe that you can go home. Your heart is stronger now, and with some precautions, you should be fine. We have all your medications sorted out. I'll give your father the prescription. The doctor hands a sheet of paper to my dad, whose expression turns wooden as he reads it quickly. So many. I take it from his hand and look myself, feeling numb. How am I supposed to react to this? The absurdly long list of medications staring back at me from the paper seems insurmountable. They all blend together in a sea of letters. This is insane. Side effects, adverse effects, contradictions, and dosages are listed line after line with cold precision. I try to read them, but it's so futile. I can't understand any of it. Attempted to only makes me feel sicker. All this for the rest of my life, every day. I'm afraid that is the best we can do at this point. However, new medications are always being developed, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that list fade over the years. Years. What kind of confidence booster is that? I'd have felt better if he hadn't said anything at all. Also, I've spoken with your parents, and we believe that it would be best if you don't return to your old school. What? Please calm down, Haseo. Listen to what the doctor has to say. Calm down? The way he says it tells me that he knew full well that I wouldn't like it. Am I going to be homeschooled? Whatever my concern shows, it's ignored. We all understand that your education is paramount. However, I don't think it's wise for you to be without supervision. At least not until we're sure that your medication is suitable. So I've spoken to your parents about a transfer. It's a school called Yamaku Academy that specializes in dealing with disabled students. Disabled? What? It has a 24-hour nursing staff, and it's only a few minutes from a highly regarded general hospital. The majority of students live on campus. Think of it as a boarding school of sorts. It's designed to give students a degree of independence while keeping help nearby. Independent? It's a school for disabled kids. Don't try to disguise that fact. If it was really that free, there wouldn't be a 24-hour nursing staff, and you wouldn't make a hospital being nearby a selling point. Of course, that's only if you want to go, but your mother and I really aren't able to homeschool you. We went out there and had a look a couple of weeks back. I think you'd like it. It looks like I really don't have a choice. Compared to other heart problems, people with your condition usually tend to live long lives. You'll need a job one day, and this is a good opportunity to continue your education. This isn't an opportunity. Don't call it an opportunity. Don't call it a goddamn opportunity. Well, you should be excited at the chance to go back to school. I remember you wanted to return to school, and while it's not the same one, a special school, that's an insult. That is what I want to say. It's a step down. It's not what you think. All of the students there are pretty active in their own sort of way. It's geared towards students that can still get around and learn, but just need a little help in one way or another. Your father's right, and many of the graduates of the school have gone on to do amazing things. A person doesn't have to be held back by their disability. Hit the nail on the head. I agree. I agree full-heartedly with that. Unfortunately, a lot of businesses don't, and if they hear you have a disability, they don't tend to employ you, sadly. That's very sad. Trust me, I know. One of my colleagues in another hospital is a graduate. I don't care. A person doesn't have to be helped out by a disability. That's what a disability is. I really hate that something so important was decided for me, but what can I do about it? A normal life is out of the question now. It's funny, I'd always thought my life was actually kind of boring, but now I miss it. I want to protest. I want to blame this lack of reaction on shock or fatigue. I could easily yell out something now, something about how I can go back to school anyway. But no. I don't say anything. The fact is that I know it now, it's futile. I look around the room, feeling very tired of all this. The hospital, the doctors, my condition, everything. I don't see anything that would make me feel any different. There really isn't a choice. I know this. But the thought of going to a disabled school? What are those even like? As much as I try to put a positive spin on this, it's very difficult. But let me try. A clean slate isn't a bad thing. That is all I can think of to get me through this. At least I still have something. Even if it's a special school, it's something. It's a fresh start, and my life isn't over. It would be a mistake to just resign myself to thinking that. At the very least, I'll try to see what my new life will look like. Man, imagine that. You know, you're that age and your life just gets completely turned upside down like that. I mean, I was 13 when I was diagnosed with my epilepsy, and that turned my life upside down. But I couldn't imagine being late teens, sort of being 17, 18, 19, that sort of time, and then having that happen. That would just be. I couldn't even imagine it. The gate looked far too pompous for what it was. In fact, gates in general seem to do that, but this one especially so. Red bricks, black wrought iron, and grey plaster, assembled into a whole that didn't feel welcoming at all. I wondered if it looked like that, what a gate for a school should look like, but couldn't really decide. Probably no. Of course, I didn't want to get stuck on thinking about the gate for too long, so I entered through it with a brisk pace that felt surprisingly good. Moving forward feels good. So I walked towards the main building of Yamaku Academy with this brisk pace. I'm alone as my parents are taking my stuff to the dorms, and there's supposed to be someone waiting for me. The grounds are incredibly lush, filled with green. It doesn't feel like the kind of grounds a school would have, more like a park with a clean walkway going past the trees and the smell of fresh-cut grass and other park things. Words like clean and hygienic pop into mind. It makes me shudder. I shake them off. Stay open-minded for now. It's your new life. You have to take it as it comes. That's what I tell myself. A few big buildings loom behind the leafy canopies, too big and too many for just a school. Everything seems off. It's different from what I thought I knew about schools. It's an uncanny valley. Even though I was told this is my new school, in the back of my head, it doesn't feel like one. I wonder if the feeling is real or caused by the expectations of a school for the disabled. Speaking of that, I don't see anyone else here. It's kind of eerie. It makes me wish there was someone here so I could anchor myself to something tangible instead of having this feeling that I stepped into another dimension. The trees hum with the wind and the green hues flashing all around me clash my attention. It makes me think about hospitals again, how they say that the operating rooms are painted green because green is a calming colour. So why am I feeling so anxious despite all this greenery? Only after I stand in front of the haughty main building, I surprise myself by realising why the gate bothered me. It was the last chance I had to turn back, even if I had no life I could return to. But still, after entering, there was absolutely no way I could go back anymore. Feeling nervous and with this realization set in my head, I opened the front door. A tall man with bad posture noticed me as I enter. We're the only people in the lobby, so it's only logical. You must be Nikki? Nakai. So you are. Excellent. I'm your homeroom and science teacher. My name is Muto. Welcome. We exchange a handshake that is neither firm nor sloppy, and he looks at his watch. The head nurse asks for you a brief check-in visit, but there's no time for that now. Oh, should I go later? Yes, afternoon is probably fine. We should get going and introduce you to the rest of the class. They're waiting already. Waiting for me? I don't really like being the center of attention, but I guess it's inevitable in a situation like this. Somehow not knowing what is waiting for me makes me feel really nervous. Thinking of this, I almost miss what the teacher is saying. Do you want to introduce yourself to the class? I don't think this choice had any impact, but I'd go yeah, of course. Yeah, sure. I mean, isn't that normal? Of course, but not everyone likes to be the center of attention. No, I certainly don't like that either. I hated speaking in front of the classroom back when I was in school. I'm probably one of those people, but I guess I should be the one to give the first impression of myself. Right, but it's no problem. Let's go then. God, I think I don't think I'll get all the way to the first choice because there's still so much dialogue to get through. To be honest, I never realised how long games like this would take if I actually read them. Because what I do, I kind of scan read. I can make out the sentences just with a few of the words. I don't need to read the entire thing. And of course, if I'm doing it in my head, I can do it a lot quicker than if I'm talking and reading every line. So I don't know how much longer I'll play through. I don't even know how long I've been going, actually. So I probably should check that out, actually. 20 minutes, okay. Of course, there is a little cut there, so I guess we'll do a little bit more and then I'll end it. I won't get to the first choice, but like I say, guys, play through. You know what? We'll actually end it here. Play through this, get this, download it, play through it. It's a hell of a lot of fun. Like I say, I probably won't do a playthrough on this unless you guys really want it, unless there's a lot of call for it, in which case I could do it. I do like reading, and if you guys like listening to my voice for extended periods of time, then I will. I'll have to cut out the H scenes, of course, because there are those in this game. But you can, I think there's an option to actually remove them if you want to. But, yeah, like I say, if you do want to see me continue this, say below. I will do with enough support for it, but obviously, you know, it would be a hell of a long series because it's taken me 20 minutes and we've not even got to the key turning point for choosing which path I'm going to go down. But anyway, let's just save. Can I save? No, I can't save. Okay. Anyway, thank you for watching. Pick this game up. It's free. Just put Katawa Shoujo into Google. You'll find the website for it. Play it. It's fun. You will enjoy it. It's a bunch of really good stories. There is one that I don't like, and I will do everything in my power to never do that playthrough again. Well, I'll do it once to get all the scenes and everything, but I will literally speed through it because I hate that story in this game. But anyway, thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.